Our story opens on the open ocean. The year is 1846. The golden age of piracy in the Caribbean is gasping its final breath. The seas that once belonged to buccaneers are shrinking, and the ones who remain are the most ruthless, the most desperate, willing to do anything to survive just a little longer. One such crew has just seized another vessel. The captain of that ship, a man named Baden, tries to hold his ground. But the numbers aren't in his favor. The pirate captain steps forward and locks eyes with him. A piece of gold, stolen from me years ago, how does it end up in the hands of a merchant captain like you? Who put it there? The ship's port of origin, Cayman Brac. And now, Connor is pointed straight for it. 6 days later, Cayman Brac. A man went out to sea and hasn't come back. The islanders gather in prayer, for him, and for Captain Baden. Baden's wife, Ursel, stands at the water's edge, waiting. Back at the house, Elizabeth, Baden's sister, receives a quiet visit from her lover, Weston. His ship leaves tomorrow. He looks at her and asks, "So, what have you decided?" The gate creaks open. Ursel is home. The sound stirs young Isaac awake from his sleep. Ursel steps into the kitchen and notices the coconut sweets have burned. Elizabeth's mind was clearly somewhere else. Isaac finds his mother and asks about his father. 59 days now. Ursel looks him in the eye and says, "He will come home. He always does." She crosses the room to Elizabeth. Her sister-in-law has spent her whole life on this tiny island, and she aches for something more. The chance to watch the sun rise from a different shore, just once. But Ursel gently pulls her back to earth. Then she goes and makes a fresh batch of coconut sweets herself. Because today is Isaac's birthday. And then, movement on the shoreline. Something is wrong. Isaac feels it. He promised he'd be back before my birthday. Ursel kneels beside him. Your father left you something, just in case he was late. She places a knife in his hands. It wasn't really Baden's. It was hers. Down at the water's edge, the pirates claim their first life, Weston. By the next morning, Elizabeth slips out of the house in the dark and runs. Ursel hears her go. Elizabeth's room is empty. And through her window, Ursel sees them, the pirates, already moving through the island. She acts fast. Isaac is awake and hidden beneath a concealed panel in the floor before the men reach the door. Ursel raises her gun and faces them. We want no trouble. They don't care. They come at her from every angle at once, and they overwhelm her in seconds. They're speaking a foreign language, but they already know her name. They want to know where the money is. There was money behind a portrait on the wall. But that's not what they're after. They hold up a gold bar. Where is the rest of this? Ursel stares them down. Who are you? The scout turns to his men, cold and calm, and orders them to break her bones. Leave the face alone. That same morning, Connor reaches the island. The custodian spots him and steps forward. This is an emancipated British colony. State your name, rank, and allegiance. Connor doesn't flinch. Captain Francisco Connor. A humble brethren of the sea. Across the island, Elizabeth makes her way to the shore, searching for Weston. What she finds instead stops her cold. His body. The local pastor watches Connor and the custodian from a distance. The harbormaster raises his telescope and finds it, Connor's pirate ship, anchored offshore just beyond the horizon. The pastor's voice is low and urgent, "Get everyone into the church." The custodian knows the name. Connor isn't just a sailor, he's a sea robber, a wanted enemy of the British crown. Connor's remaining crew is already making their way toward shore. Where's the wife of Th. Baden? The custodian shouts the order, "Prepare the bulldog." The islanders scramble to load the cannon and take aim. But Connor's sniper, positioned far back on the water, puts a bullet through the man before he can pull the trigger. Back inside Ursel's house, two pirates loop a rope around her neck and string her up. Then they hear it, a small sound from beneath the floorboards. Isaac. But before they can move, Ursel speaks. In their language. And she tells them to stop. One of them stares at her. Who taught you that? She looks at him steadily. The same person who taught me this. She breaks free, and she doesn't fight like a frightened woman. She fights like someone who was built for exactly this. On the other side of the island, Connor is cutting through the villagers like it's second nature. An entire crowd, and not one of them can get their hands on him. Back at the house, Ursel drives her knife into the first pirate. The second one hurls her clean through the window. She hits the ground, and her hand finds a seashell. That's all she needs. The second pirate goes down. But the rest of the crew has already landed on the shore. Elizabeth watches them come and goes silent. Connor turns to his quartermaster, "Lee, nobody leaves this island until I have my property." The custodian lifts his chin. The Royal Navy patrols these waters. They know exactly how to handle your kind. Connor scans the island. Where is the distress signal? The custodian laughs. Connor slowly points toward the church, where every last islander has taken shelter. The quartermaster swings the cannon around to face it. The laughter dies. The custodian gives up the signal's location. Connor nods. The blood spilled here today, that is on your hands. And he fires the cannon. A moment later, the scout rides back in. Still searching for the gold. We have subdued the woman. But nothing could be further from the truth. Ursel had already covered the 2 dead pirates with cloth, pulled Isaac up from beneath the floor, and looked him square in the face. Don't be frightened. I will do anything in my power to protect you. Pack what you need, and 3 days' rations. Then a voice came from outside the door. Ursel raised her gun, but it was the pastor. He told her, there is a full gang on this island, led by a vile man, carrying weapons he has never seen. And then he said quietly, I think it's him. Ursel shook her head. That's not possible. You are the only one who can stop them, Captain. Her jaw tightened. Do not ever call me that. Right then, Isaac held out a letter. The one Elizabeth had left behind. Ursel helped Isaac into his wheelchair and told him to go with the pastor, to a specific place. She would find Elizabeth and meet them there. Elizabeth is already out in the fields, running blind with fear. Ursel moves through the island like a ghost, staying low, avoiding the pirates, tracking her down. She finds her. Stay calm. Elizabeth's voice breaks. Weston is dead. I know. But we have to move, right now, before those men find us. Back at the house, the pirates push through the door expecting Ursel. Instead, they find their own dead. The scout delivers the news. Quartermaster Lee sends every available man out to hunt her down. Connor looks at the floor, and there it is. Wheelchair tracks. She has a hobbled son. Isaac's chair catches in the dirt and stops. And right there, he notices a tree with a mark carved into it. Ursel and Elizabeth arrive at the same spot moments later. Behind them, the pirates have found the stuck wheelchair. They're closing in. Ursel leads them to a narrow creek. The way across is a basket-style boat, barely big enough for 2. She sends Elizabeth and Isaac first. The water below writhes with alligators. The moment Ursel crosses, the pirates arrive on the other bank, and the pastor doesn't move. Connor steps forward, studying the old man's face. Blackheart Bradley, is that you? The pastor's shirt shifts slightly in the breeze. An old tattoo, still faded into his chest. Ursel tells Elizabeth and Isaac to keep moving without her. She raises her telescope and watches the 2 men talk. The moment Connor's face fills the lens, she freezes. The pirates open fire in her direction. She runs. Connor calls after his men, no executions, gentlemen. I need her alive. Several of his crew wade into the creek. The alligators welcome them. Elizabeth and Isaac press themselves inside the hollow of a tree. Pirates begin moving toward them. Then Ursel appears, drawing every eye away from them, pulling the danger directly onto herself. She takes down one man, strips his weapon, and uses it alongside her blade to tear through the ones that follow. One wounded pirate still manages to reach Elizabeth. Isaac steps in front of her, blade in hand. But Ursel gets there first. Connor's voice echoes across the water. Bloody, Bloody Mary. She can hear him from where she stands. I wonder if your family knows who you really are. Lay down your arms. Let us make restitution for your transgressions, Mary. Her response, she sends one of his pirates' severed head sailing across the creek toward him. Connor barely blinks. Perhaps a barter then, for the life of Captain T.H. Bodden. He sits aboard my ship. He wants his gold by sunrise, in exchange for her husband's life. Ursel leads Elizabeth and Isaac deep into a cave. The moment a match is struck, the whole space ignites with light. It's no ordinary cave, it's built like a ship on the inside, loaded with traps at every turn. Elizabeth looks at the woman beside her and asks the question she can't hold back anymore. Who is that man, and how are you this good at killing people? Ursel tells her, Connor was a colonizer for the East India Trading Company. And one of the most feared buccaneers to ever sail these seas. On the other side of the island, Lee is quietly telling his men the story. When you were young, that woman was a bona fide terror. She had her own ship, sailing right alongside Connor himself. Elizabeth turns to Ursel. How do you know him? A long pause. Then, we were indentured servants. They attacked our ship. Slaughtered my parents. Took me. I was 12 years old. She was raised on that pirate ship. She became Bloody Mary. And Bodden knew everything. And now, Bodden is brought to the island. Inside the cave, Ursel opens a chest. The gold. The same gold she stole from Connor, marked, buried, and meant to stay that way until she was long gone. I spent half my life with the brethren, she says. And there is only one way to deal with Connor. Across the island, Lee pulls Connor aside. Is our mission still the gold? Connor looks out at the tree-line. These men are the most capable soldiers I have. I cannot let them die to satisfy a lust for vengeance. Then, almost to himself, gold has no value without freedom. Bloody Mary is a means to an end. Ursel opens another chest inside the cave. Her armor. Bombs. Guns. Everything she'd buried with her past. She looks at Isaac. I need you to prepare the sails. Then she takes the gold and walks out to bring her husband home. Aboard the ship, Baden stares Connor down. How many of your men has she killed? Connor almost sounds proud. Violence is her native language. I recall 3 sailors who went into her cabin one night. By morning, we found the finest parts of them hanging from the bowsprit. Then he leans in. For a time, we were true partners, in every sense of the word. Did she never tell you? Back in the cave, Elizabeth finds Ursel's logbook. Pages filled with things written about her. Ursel is already moving. She surfaces through a well near her own house and begins working her way through the pirates, silent, methodical, one by one. The pirates on the island have a whistle system. They're signaling each other through the dark. Ursel floods one room with smoke and takes down the man inside it. And then, she finds Th. Baden. He looks at her. I'm sorry I took our gold. There was a doctor, someone who treats people like Isaac. Outside, the pirates notice the whistles have gone quiet. They go on full alert. The key to Baden's chains is with Connor. Baden asks her about her and Connor. She doesn't look away. What I did to survive. We have to make the trade. She presses a dagger into his hand. They hold each other's gaze. I love you. I love you. Ursel steps back outside and takes hold of the bomb strings. Anyone who comes through, she'll send them straight to hell. Connor steps into view. Did you miss me, darling? Ursel pulls the gold from the well. Baden's chains come off. He's walking toward her. And then Connor speaks again, from behind. But what about your betrayal? How do we balance those scales? When I found you, you were a weak little girl. I saved you. I made you powerful. And you repaid me with a blade in the back and your hand in my gold. A mistake I intend to correct, starting with your bandy-legged boy. Baden moves before Ursel can. She pulls every bomb string she can reach, and the pirates start falling. But Connor is stronger than Baden. He overpowers him. I yield. Ursel's voice. I'll do whatever you ask. Connor doesn't even look at her. He kills Baden. He grabs Ursel and tells her the truth he's been holding back this whole time. The gold is for my crew. I came here for the bounty on your head. Ursel reaches down and lights the string connected to the bomb chest. And she falls backward into the well. Elizabeth is still in the cave, reading. Baden was a dockhand when they met, right here on Cayman Brack. Ursel had been in hiding, running from Connor's fleet after fighting her way free and stealing his gold. Ursel's real name was written somewhere in those pages, but in a language Elizabeth couldn't read. Then the cave entrance shifts. Ursel stumbles in, and collapses. Outside, the blast takes out a cluster of pirates. Lee loses it. What was that? Our mission was the gold, now scattered to the wind. My son is dead for nothing. I will not throw one more sailor's life into the jaws of this madness. He calls the order, back to the ship. Regroup the crew. Put it to a vote. Connor turns on him. That's mutiny. He fires. Lee drops. Connor faces the rest of his men. The speech comes from somewhere deep and practiced. We who ran these waves read for king and country, they've branded us criminals. Their new world has no place for men like us. But I carry here a decree from 3 empires, the captors of Bloody Mary receive a full pardon. Every sin erased. The freedom to sail these seas like the conquistadors of old. He lets it sink in. Do I have you with me? One mind. One hand. One captain. The crew roars. They begin to chant, Libertas. Libertas. Inside the cave, Elizabeth works on Ursel's wounds. Ursel's voice comes low and broken. I failed you. She means Baden. Then, a noise. Connor's scout has found the hidden passage beneath the well. This cave is compromised. They have one play left. Survive until sunrise. Light the signal pyre. Because the British Navy follows smoke, and smoke is their only hope. Isaac speaks up. We could escape in the catboat. But Ursel shakes her head. Running doesn't end this. Connor will come for her again and again until one of them is dead. It has to be finished here. Elizabeth looks at her. You don't have to do this alone. Ursel exhales. This place was built for exactly this moment. We lure them in. Split them up. Wait for a clear shot at Connor. Distract. Defend. Destroy. She turns to Isaac, and her voice softens. If anything happens to me, you take the catboat. Sail to the Big Island. You know the charts. You know the currents. You could swim before you could stand. She looks at him like it's the truest thing she's ever said. You're a born sailor. The pirates pour into the cave. The first man reaches for a winch and takes a bullet before he can turn it. They spot Ursel in the shadows. Both sides open fire. On her side of the cave, Elizabeth lights a string, and a wall of blast swallows the pirates closing in behind her. Connor drives toward Ursel. And Ursel meets him, taking down one man after another, moving through the dark like she was born in it. She burns one alive. Elizabeth moves toward a door to check on Ursel. The scout comes out of nowhere and grabs her. Isaac draws his blade. Elizabeth tells him to launch the catboat and get out. The moment Isaac goes, the scout grabs her again. She yanks a rope in the struggle, a crossbow fires, and the scout goes down. She reaches down and takes the locket from around his neck. Weston's locket. Her voice is steady. This does not belong to you. Inside the cave, in the dark, the last of them fall. One man remains. Connor's laugh rolls through the silence. Just us now, darling. Step into the light, let's finish this the proper way. Out on the water, Isaac has the boat ready, the sails set. He looks up at the island, and sees fire climbing into the sky. But Ursel didn't light it. Connor did. Let them come and find an island harboring a wanted criminal. The two of them draw weapons. They trade blows, equal, brutal, neither giving an inch. Ursel buries her knuckle blade into him. But Connor tears her sword away. Yield. She has nothing left in her hands. She grabs burning sticks from the fire. It isn't enough. Yield, he says again. She lifts her chin. Then put it between my ribs. Like you did to Baden. A gunshot cracks through the cave. Elizabeth. Ursel seizes the split second, she spins, takes back her sword, and drives it straight through Connor. He sags. The fire fades from his eyes. And with what little breath he has left, he whispers, "My Mary." Elizabeth rushes to Ursel and holds her up. Ursel steadies herself. Then, finally, she says what may be the most honest thing she's said in years. "My name is Miriam." Out on the water, Isaac reaches into the catboat, and finds gold hidden inside it. And in the distance, through the smoke climbing off the signal pyre, the British Navy finally sees it. And that, friends, is where this story ends. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this one, and if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another one.